Welcome in to One Resource Floating. I'm the 86, and we have this girl over here named,
Kayla.
and this guy.
Ben.
And we hope you're enjoying the nice weather. Hopefully, you're avoiding all of the heat related illnesses.
We've been having nice weather.
Yeah, heat
Very
stroke.
hot.
Yeah, it's super hot. Heat stroke, heat exhaustion, Miami heat, whatever you're going through. Hope, don't.
Did you know that the Miami Heat had a name before that?
What's that?
Don't.
It was the preheat. I literally got Ben with that joke before protest. He was set up. So he was like, "No, what is it? Tell me."
I was curious. I was legitimately curious.
Really? Tell me more. And then I come in with the dad joke, and he's like, "I hate you." I'm pretty sure he said, "I hate you."
I might have. There's
That was all
distinct
we needed for
possibility.
this weekend, everyone. So I hope you have a great night, great week, and yeah, that's it.
Back to weather. Did you have the thunderstorms that was just lightning for like 6 hours straight?
No, we did not have that. Actually,
It was a lot.
Oh, man, it was basically daytime again. The lightning was so bright, it just made it day again at like 11:30 at night.
I heard it was pretty bad. I know there's power
It was
outages
wild.
in several places.
Oh yeah, the store was out.
Oh yeah, I heard you get. I saw something on your Discord today about it. So
Yeah, it came back, so all good.
All good.
all great and dandy. Well, I used up my South Park Cool Island song joke last week with the Heart of Ice and Oldham, but we're going to talk about another cool hero today. Maybe this will be a little shocking to you as well to find out who we're talking about, but it will be none other than everyone's favorite hero. Anyone guess what that is? This is where we let all the audience guess. Da, da, da. It's okay. It's gonna be Lexi.
I was trying to think of a hero that people simultaneously hate. But I was like, we've already talked about them, so if I say their name, it doesn't matter because we've already talked about them.
It's gonna be Lexi.
Live wire.
I was gonna say Brian. I was like, we've already talked about her, and then it was gonna be like Azalea, and I was like,
yeah, someone better than Azalea. We're gonna talk about Azalea
Ranger.
3.0.
A Ranger better than Azalea.
Lexi's the only ranger. Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's first talk about, before we get into any Lexi stuff, let's talk about some lore with her. Do we have any lore? Is there any fun things to know?
I should have touched back up on it, and I didn't. So Lexi is from Volthaven, which is a sort of amalgamation of floating islands in Aria, because many a millennia before Aria and everything, there was a giant who lived, and when he died, his body became the rocks, and his veins were the lightning that kept the rocks floating. And so she lives in Volthaven on those floating islands. And she wants to become basically like this type of hero or traveler that explores the land, who is also infused with elemental powers. So she trains, she becomes a wonderful marksman. She does a lot of arrow and archery things to entertain the people of Volthaven. And eventually she does become infused with the abilities of lightning and ice. Because she's shockingly cool.
What did you say, Ben?
How many can I get in today?
So Lexi also, do you know what land? We're in Aria as a whole. She's in the city, the town, the Volthaven.
It starts with an E.
It's something like Inion.
Yeah,
something like that.
Inion or Inion, something like that. Yeah.
And so that land is starting to be in turmoil, so that's why Lexi sets off to be the wayfarer.
It seems like something is rousing these sort of ancient beings that used to wander the plains, and so
something has roused the ancients. Yeah.
It hit me, and I was like, I said rouse the ancients. That's funny. But no, like they can feel something happening. the lightning is tingling her skin, and she can feel the coldness like brushing against her, and she's like, something is wrong. So she sets off, figure out what that is.
And so that's what the cards, if you know Mark of Lightning, believe it's called. Who uses Mark of Lightning? Probably actually people do.
Very good and limited.
It is. But that is one of the things that it refers to, just that static against the skin. And Coat of Frost isn't necessarily like a coat that you put on. It's like, no, you have your base layer of frost that has started attached to you, and then you're going to get the first coat. It's like paint. It's like you're going to get colder, and then you're going to get colder.
Yeah, like if you've ever just been outside and you're just like your skin starts to stand on end, and you're like, ooh, it feels tingly. It's like the feeling she gets of like, ooh, something's out there.
And yeah, so that's Lexi's lore and the fun things. Let's get into her hero ability. Ben, do you want to read off her hero ability?
I don't have it in front of me, so I can't do it verbatim. But essentially, you will.
Nearby.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, then.
Okay.
But you will flip over a face-down arsenal card. If it is an ice card, give your opponent a frostbite token. If it is a lightning card, your next attack gains go again.
And that's pretty much correct.
Yep, and then that action, it's a once per turn action. It has go again on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's like start of the turn, you can do that, and then you can do other things.
Unless their opponent has played something that you cannot give go again, so then you have to be mindful of like, oh, I can't flip this over.
Yes. Or if you've been given a frostbite yourself, it now costs 1 to do a Lexi activation.
Yeah.
And all that fun.
It's a pain.
Yep. So going into Lexi, the thing with her is she is very, she's probably one of the hardest heroes, I think, that in the game to really learn and do well with.
I think she's difficult to master, but just really fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
She's fun to play, and I think it's difficult to master because you have to know how to use your arsenal wisely and when to load and when to use keywords like reload. It's a keyword we saw back with Azalea. It comes into play again with Lexi. And it's sort of the sequencing of things that makes her a very fun hero to try. But you will play many a game with her to figure out the proper sequencing. And even then, you're going to find yourself having to change it up, which I think makes her very fun. And the fact that she's so versatile that you can change the way you play your turn with her.
That's what I was going to say. She has a very large, diverse pool that you can pull from. And there's like very few Lexi decks that will play the exact same way.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, if we didn't say this before, Lexi has the essence of Ice and Lightning, meaning she can use Ice and Lightning cards. I think it's really important going into different Lexi builds. We're probably going to start off with equipment and then and possibly weapon and then move over from there. So let's start head to toe and we can go from there. What do you guys think is the best head to use?
The only head to use is New Horizons.
Horizon, yeah. If you you cannot shell out the money for it, the best common would be Honing Hood for sure.
Yeah.
There's no second. That's first and that's second. Those are the only two.
Basically.
Honing Hood's like 30 cents to buy, so that's easy to get a hold of. New Horizon, because she's becoming very popular, a lot of Runeblade players are switching to Lexi.
Our local chain player.
New Horizon has gone up a little bit because of that. But it is worth it, 100%. She pulls the full effect out of the piece.
So just to go through with New Horizon, it's while you have a face-up card in your arsenal, you have an additional arsenal zone. So reflect back to her a hero ability to flip something over once per turn, and then that gives you the extra arsenal zone. When the equipment, if you have New Horizons, when it's destroyed, you destroy all cards in your arsenal. So if you have 2 in your arsenal and that has to go, bye-bye. And keep in mind, if you get hit with like a Command and Conquer, you have 2 cards in your arsenal, they're both being gone. So be wary of, okay, how's this going to hit? What's it going to affect? Can this player pummel it? You really need to be smart with how you use New Horizon. Honing Hood is an excellent instant. It's destroy Honing Hood, return all cards in your arsenal to your hand, then put a card from your hand face down into your arsenal. Um, if you feel like you are someone who is prone to arsenal the wrong card, or maybe you don't have it yet, Honing Hood is probably a good one. I know that when I first started playing Lexi, I remember the Calling Cincinnati. I got a lightning press in my arsenal, and yeah, so that is unfortunate. So don't do that.
It is really good for turns of, like, say you have like a shock striker in arsenal. So you can reveal the shock striker, your next attack it's go again. You could Honing Hood to put it back into your hand and put like a Polar Blast down there. Because that way when you play the Polar Blast from Arsenal, you get the draw card effect. And then still your next attack it's go again. So you could still play the shock striker, which now comes in with go again, but you get that added bonus of drawing the card beforehand. So it's just it's a lot of stuff like that. Or if
What a
you
versatility.
yeah, if you put something in your arsenal, you're like, that's really good. But then you draw your hand and you're like, that would have been better. You can fix it. It's a wonderful common equipment for her if you cannot get the limit.
Agreed. Moving down to the chest. Let's talk about what the best chest is. To no one's surprise.
So I think main board generally is Tunic.
Tunic, yeah. I mean, it's just hard to beat that.
In a deck full of 0 and 1 cost, that one resource can mean a whole turn.
Yeah. It could be a loaded bow. It could be an arrow shot when you need it. It could be anything. It's so good for her. And it's block 1, so in a pinch you can use it and you probably wouldn't miss it. And you're not going to play your whole game around every 3 turns. It's just going to sit there and you're going to be like, now I need that resource. And you're going to use it when you need it.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, Lexi got a lot of popularity because there was a player that goes by the name of Yuki Liebender that piloted Lexi, who was thought to be. I don't want to say she was a bad hero, but I don't want to say she was. She definitely wasn't the top tier.
She was underappreciated.
Yes.
Maybe a dark horse that
Yeah.
people just didn't pay attention to.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And when that happened, a lot of people turned heads like, that actually looks pretty good. And she did pretty well. And I could do that. So that build became very popular. Going off of using Tunic, I have ran a modified list of that. I have a little bit more equipment in my deck and some different cards. But going off that, I never really feel like I need that Tunic resource. Like, yeah, I could use it a turn every once in a while, and like I can kind of plan some things ahead. But because of just how that deck works, that block 1 really is where I use it the most. But I say that, and now I'm going to come into a situation where I need that Tunic resource. But there's also another chest piece that's legendary that Oldham also uses, and that is the Heart of Ice. And I feel like that is a good thing for Lexi's thing. Unfortunately, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. Is she does not have a weapon to swing. Her weapon enables you to play attack action cards, specifically bows or arrows. She's going to have a bow to fire arrows. Because of that, it is really common, and it was the same problem a lot of Azalea players have. It's really common for her to get fatigued out. So Heart of Ice kind of puts the pressure on. Okay, you're going to play that defense reaction for 3. Well, now you're going to pitch 2 cards for it. Or you're going to put, if at 2, you need to pitch a blue now for it. If it's a 1, you need to pay for that sink below. So Heart of Ice is another way to put the pressure. And
I think it's situational.
Exactly.
It depends on the hero. I think if you're facing off against a Runeblade user, they're not going to have defense reactions.
Oh no,
not at all, because
you have to read your opponent.
They're their race mechanics. Now, if you're facing off against an Oldham, any type of guardian, or maybe even a warrior who might run sink belows, I would 100% do it. But I also think that is one resource that you're giving up on your turn, just kind of hoping that it messes them up when it might not.
It takes a soul read to get the right answer there.
Super good against wizards.
Oh, I know. I think you
Wizards.
played against Wizard. Period.
Oh yeah, it has
100%.
Arcane Barrier too, so it's better than
It's a double whammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your instances on my turn are going to cost one more, and I have an arcane barrier with it. But I would not say it's the be all end all of chest equipment for her. I think it's definitely situational.
It is something where I've played it against Prism, and it's something that can cause Prism to force her hand a little bit if she's going to be dire to having that resource to play an aura. Typically, Prisms aren't right now, but that is something that maybe is going to shape the way they play unless they respond to it and then kind of be like, okay, I'll pick that aura off right now before it goes to the end step.
Because of the way stacking works now, and that you can play either in response or after something resolves. Typically, if someone's like, I'm in a Heart of Ice, in response, they could be like, well, I'm going to play this aura now to not get that extra cost into it, and I'll still have the card in hand for the next turn.
Yep.
But like you said, you can use that chance to attack once, and then on the second attack hit the aura and sort of get a 2 for 2. But I still think it's a 50-50, I would say. Between Tunic and Heart of Ice, it's a 50-50.
And it depends on your build, because if
It really depends how aggressive you are.
Yeah, because I think it also has a block 1 Blade Break.
No, because it just has the arcane barrier.
No, it has block 1 Blade Break.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I thought it was one or the other.
Both.
No, I didn't think it had both. That's on me.
So in that sense, you were getting the same defense value from both ones. One gives you Arcane Barrier, which is wonderful against certain matchups. The other gives you 1 free resource, whereas Heart of Ice requires resources. So it's sort of just it's a give and take of which one do you value more in your particular deck build. But both are wonderful chess pieces.
I have them both in my build. One's
Fair.
sideboard.
Just a little bit of a flex saying I got 2 legendaries.
Yeah. I bought the Heart of Ice from Ben. There you go.
And I pulled another.
Yeah. A common piece, I will be honest, in that Heart and Cross Trap I don't feel like is good for Lexi. And
I would say Code of Frost, maybe.
I would actually say Deep Blue.
Deep blue. Deep
Oh,
blue.
yeah, Deep Blue is awesome.
So the issue is that Lexi is going to want to run a lot of reds and yellows. She's not really going to want to run a lot of blues. If you pile on that, I have a full red hand, well, I can down 1, get 3 resources, and maybe fire 2 arrows off, maybe 1. So that is something just to think through of how you want to use that. But Deep Blue is what I'll concede to. Any other chess pieces you guys like?
Not particularly.
I mean, I said Code of Frost. Maybe it's better in limited if you don't have access to the Deep Blue.
Yeah, no, it's solid and limited.
I do like Code of Frost though, because it's just like your opponent's not expecting like, I'm gonna flip over a card and give you a frostbite, and they're like, okay, and then you're like, I'm gonna pop Code of Frost, I'm gonna give you a second frostbite, and then it's like, oh.
Mm-hmm. And I
especially
think that's
in
good
endgame.
too. In limited, I would definitely look for that if I don't have Deep Blue.
Because in endgame, if you give them 2 or 3 frostbites, they're probably not going to have a turn, and then you have a full hand to try to end the game.
Oh yeah, that's what you do, like in game for the hero that live in Legend and Chain. Just be like, okay, well, I know Husk is in Banished Zone, and he's gonna have Blood Debt. Okay, here's 4 frostbites.
Fight through that.
Do any damage, yeah.
Yeah.
Get out what you can, and then he does what he can, and and takes some Blood Debt, and then you're like, okay. Lexi is also someone that if you want to run AB3, you don't have to, but if you choose to run AB3, I would if you want a common, I would put the Nobrun Robe in as the chest and leave your head as a Honing Hood or New Horizon.
I think every hero has one piece of equipment that they will always keep over others. For ninjas, it's always the headpiece. For rangers, it's the headpiece. Because even for Azalea, she would rather have Crossbone, which I think also has Arcane Barrier anyway, so it wouldn't Um, but every hero has that sort of that one piece they will always give. If you are a ranger, you're going to keep your headpiece, no matter what.
Yeah. Moving on to the arms. That's going to be the next piece before we talk about the feet. The arms I also bought for Ben.
I mean, there's a couple options for the arms actually.
There's
Uh,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, it kind of depends how you want to play. If you want to focus hit effects, shock charmers all the way.
Oh yeah. If you're playing like I mean, you can't play ball lightning and CC anymore. But if you're playing Blitz and you've got ball lightning, boom, done. You're set. You're set for life. Or is ball lightning just banned in general? Wait a second.
It's banned in general.
Just cut all that out.
I'm pretty confident about that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty confident it's banned in both.
So a more applicant,
Yeah, I think it's actually
a more
right.
relevant application.
Cut that.
Chilling Ice Vein.
Yep.
So that's a really good arrow that she has. It's
Oh,
probably one
yeah.
of my favorite arrows. If it's fused
so
when you
good.
play it, which means that you just have to reveal a card. Anytime that player takes damage that turn, they have to discard a card or pay one resource. Well, if you end up with a turn like, well, I have 6 resources left in my hand but no attacks, well, I'm going to pitch Shock Charmers. So I'm getting 2 cards out of your hand if that hits. So the Shock Charmers does need a hit to make damage continuously go through. 2 resources for 1 damage after they have taken damage.
Yeah.
It's good.
When you do it, it's brutal.
I've taken like 4 or 5 frostbites in a turn because of Chilling Ice Vein or not Chilling Ice Vein, the one that makes frostbites. Is it Blizzard Bolt?
Ice Quake and Blizzard Bolt.
Yeah, so I've taken a lot of frostbites between those kind of cards and shock charmers.
There's a nice card that when it's fused, it gives Dominate. I think that's Blizzard Bolt.
That's Flake Out?
Yes,
Is
Flake
what
Out.
it's called?
Flake Out. Okay.
I always say Frazzle, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Not right. I know it's enough card. And I misspoke. I said damage, but I meant to say hits, by the way. If the card hits, then pay 2 resources to deal 1 damage. The other nice piece of Shock Charmers is it has Spell Void too. So keep it for those. If you have that clutch turn where Rosetta's coming in or Kano's coming off with 8th of the Wildfire and you only have AB2, but you have this, like, bam, okay. This is the time to destroy it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
The common one is actually not a bad choice either, and both of them I think should be in your deck. The Yuki deck, which is really popular right now, only has the common version. But Kayla, do you know what that one is?
My guess is Bullseye Bracers because that's what I run.
It is Bullseye Bracers indeed.
100%.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so good.
Do you want to tell us what Bullseye Bracers does?
I believe Bullseye's Bracers is destroy. If there are no cards in your arsenal, you may put an arrow face up into your arsenal. It gets +1 until end of turn.
Yep.
Sounds right.
Yep.
I think it has Arcane Barrier 1.
Yep. That it does.
Because it was an equipment that came out in Arcane Rising, and they put everything with Arcane Barrier in that set.
Yeah.
You had Kano.
And Viscerai.
Fair.
So Bullseye Bracers is something that I think is really good to that it's going to be most of your equipment, if used like that, if it's going to destroy it, it's going to be your game ender. You're coming in because you're losing AB, so if you're going up against a Runeblade or Chain, or both Chain's going to live in Legend soon, but Viscerai or maybe a Wizard or
even Prism in some cases.
Yeah, Prism in some cases.
I've won multiple Lexi games with a Merciful Retribution down, and they popped their Bullseye Bracers.
Yeah, I actually did that to a Prism once. I popped Bullseye Bracers it would have been the final blow, and he's like, okay, I'll make a Spectral Shield, and then play Merciful Retribution. And it's like, oh, crap. I'm gonna die.
Even with Dramai coming out, she can actually do a fair bit of arcane damage as well through dragons or through Burn Them All.
Mm-hmm.
The illusionists have a little bit of a spike there.
Yep. They've got a little bit of spicy arcane in there.
So that is the good head, chest, and arms equipment. Feet.
Yeah, you gotta put on your footsies.
Feet, you only have 2. It's going to be 1 super common. And anyone guess what it is?
The common one
Dragon
I'm gonna say
Scalar.
Yep. Maybe if you wanted to be cute or clever and you were going up against a prism, you could run time skippers and take out some Maras that way, but really it's
I
going to be
thought you were gonna
Snapdragons.
say perch grapplers for a second. I was like, you
Yeah.
only run those if you really want that block too.
Yeah. And
that
Perch
block too makes a
Grapplers,
big difference
yeah.
sometimes.
I mean, it does.
The Yuki deck actually recommends Perch Grapplers just for Herald of Erudition. You do block 2 and then block 3.
Chris's deck has it.
Yep. And that's the only time really it comes in. It never to use the effect on it, which is sad. Too bad it's not
okay.
Temper Battleborn.
No.
I've
Everything Danger
its
Zone.
ability's been used on me before, and it caught me very off guard.
Really. I've never
I
seen
was just
anyone
like,
use the
what?
ability on it.
I literally when they used it, I'm like, let me read this card. I've never seen anyone actually use this because I had no idea what it actually did.
Just a meat shield. That's all they are.
They're just so cost intensive for what they do.
Yes, that's the issue. Is they're really cost insensitive. So yeah, those are your feat options. We can move on to the. So we talked about the hero and what the ability is. We talked about the equipment. Let's talk about the weapon. And you have all of the Azalea weapons that you can use, but Lexi got 2 weapons that were elemental in Tales of Aria. And Ben, do you know what the token weapon is?
The token weapon is Shiver.
That is correct. It is Shiver. And what does it do?
Let's see. You once per turn instant, you can load your arsenal with an arrow for 1, and you can either give it +1 or dominate till end of turn.
Yep.
That is right. So put essentially an arrow card. So face up into your arsenal zone, empty arsenal zone. So that's going to be really key with New Horizons. So a lot of the bows are going to say empty arsenal zones. You're going to see some things with reload that say if there are no cards in your arsenal. So
Yep.
you can really have some fun picking at words here. And there's another weapon that she uses. Kayla, do you know that one?
It is called Voltaire Strike Twice. And it has a twice per turn instant of pay 1. You may load an empty arsenal slot with an arrow from your hand face up. If you do, you can choose either +1 or go again.
So Voltaire is really good for going wide, and a lot of the strategy with the Yuki deck. And I think what Lexi's going to do better is you're going to do some setup turns, load 2 bows in your 2 bows. I always say bows. Load 2 arrows in your arsenal. So even if you're going second during the player's first turn, you're going to pitch, load 2 arrows if you can, or maybe you load 1 arrow and do what you can there. If you're going first, then pitch, load 1, set up, play an amulet of ice or whatever you can, and then flip the other card face down and get ready for a good time. So when you fire that off, the first thing you're going to snap dragons, and then on your turn you're going to load, go again, fire it, load, go again, fire it, and then you're going to end with the other arrow they put in. So that's going to be a lot of damage coming out. You're going to take a few turns to set up, and then try to do that again, and that's the Voltaire strategy.
You kind of always want to leave almost all your turns with a card in hand to arsenal, hopefully an ice card, because that is really where she gets her full mileage from, is just every turn I'm going to Lexi, reveal an ice card, you get a frostbite token. Because with most heroes, just that one extra resource could really mess up hands, and then when you add into it 2 arrow attacks, one of them most likely being a fused ice card that's going to push more frostbites, it's really going to hammer into your opponent that I am going to control this game with resources.
So talking about lightning and ice, I think it's really common that ice is going to be better with the Voltaire option, and I think lightning is going to be better with the Shiver option. And the reason
I actually agree.
Yeah, I think the same thing. It's really funny that they balanced both her elements so perfectly for her.
A lot of the lightning things you'll want to get on hit effects with, and they will do more damage if you get on hits. So if you think of it, a lot of lightning decks run things like electrify. If a card deals damage, it's going to deal 3 more. If you
Bug Bolt, if it
Buzzbolt.
hits, I think it's like any time an attack hits this turn, if it deals damage, it deals that much +1. Frazzle, I think, might be the same thing. It's just
It's worded slightly different. I can't remember how, but it more or less is the same
I
thing.
think it's like the next attack that deals damage or something like that. They're worded just slightly different, but in essence, it's on hit effects that you want them to definitely hit.
So going through Frazzle is if it was fused, if whenever an attack would deal damage this turn, instead it deals that much damage +1.
Okay.
So the
Frazzle,
difference is going to be, if you look at Buzzbolt, Frazzle is when an attack deals damage. Buzzbolt is if Buzzbolt was fused, whenever attack hits a hero this turn, it deals 1 damage to them.
So it has to hit.
Yeah.
Is the difference is they're using deal damage and hits differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew they were worded differently, but they were both stacking instances of damage.
Yeah, so it's yeah.
It is correct, but it can. There are some plays that can kind of affect it.
It matters in the long scheme of things, but yeah.
Because Dominate Lexi exists and with Lightning, a lot of times you won't get cards out of hand, so it will be a race. You will see some people run things like Poison the Tips, which is if a card hits a hero, they discard a card. You're going to look for ways like that to get cards out of hand. Other than that, a lot of it's going to be a damage race coming against Lightning Lexi. Do you guys have anything different that you think on that?
That sounds about right. I mean, I think the ice archetype is more popular, but that lightning one's still scary.
Yeah. I think the lightning one just took a really big hit when Ball Lightning was banned due to Briar. Because they were probably stacking up 2 Ball Lightnings, loading an arrow, giving it Dominate and fusing it. And that way, that arrow's going to hit with damage, which is going to trigger a lot. And God forbid you have the resources to like shock charmers that, because then it just like it's a ripple effect of just a bunch of small instances of damage. So it's a lot harder for her to get stuff like that. But with cards like Electrify and fusing Buzzbolt or Frazzle, you can still do the sort of cascading of damage. But and just how the game is sort of evolving at the moment, control is almost better in the long scheme of things, so your opponents cannot do what they want to do to race you.
Yep. Definitely agree with all that. It was funny that I think when Tales of Aria released, kind of as you said, with Ball Lightning, Lightning Lexi was a ton more popular. No one cared about Ice Lexi. They were like, it's kind of the weak.
It was almost all like lightning attack.
Just so much damage.
Yeah, you had lightning presses. You probably ran razors just to get the damage over to do the cascading. But you would just see lightning and everything. And then Briar had to come in and ruin it for her. And so now people are seeing that like maybe Ice Lexi can be just as good.
So going into Ice Lexi, so we talked about Lightning Lexi and her ability was Go Again, and there's going to be a lot of attacks that will come in, but you'll come off with 1 arrow per turn typically, because that's what you're allowed unless you have a reload capable card. So going into Ice Lexi, she is the control option, and you're going to use that with Voltaire. So we can talk a little bit about what it does. The big thing is going to be Frostbite. So people are going to pay more for their first action. You have things that when they're fused, you give someone a Frostbite if an attack deals damage that turn. So Blizzard Bolt, if something deals damage, then they're going to get a Frostbite. Well, you shock Charmers 4 times after that, they have 5 Frostbites. There's nothing they can do.
Oh, yeah.
Same with Icequake. That's a... what's the specific thing on Icequake say?
It's whenever an attack hits this turn, create a Frostbite. Next attack gets +3.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
whenever you're coming in. Shock Charmers is an individual hit, so each time you Shock Charmers, they get a Frostbite from that. So those are all good things. Chilling Ice Vein, they discard a card or pay a resource. You can Shock Charmers that.
Yep. So if they're like, I'll pitch one, it's like, oh no, you shouldn't have done that. You should have pitched that blue in hand.
That.
Amulet of Ice is something that is actually really good on the field. So you come in with Lexi and you're trying to deal damage. They have decided that, okay, I'm going to start blocking, but you can instant Amulet of Ice to have them discard a card or pay 2 resources. God forbid you have 2 Amulet of Ices out, and then you're like, okay, well, pay 4, and then I'm going to just hit you for tons of damage.
Yep.
And that's the way you're going to play around Lexi. There are a couple of really good cards, I feel like, in her kit. Electrify and Polar Blast. Polar Blast, I am a huge fan of.
I love Polar Blast.
It goes in your arsenal. Never play it from hand unless you really need it for the resources for some reason, and you maybe have another one to arsenal. If you're going to arsenal anything, arsenal Polar Blast.
Or if you're like, if I just get this dominate, that's the game.
Yeah.
But it's from hand, still do it.
So
if you can afford to do it.
Mm-hmm. You put it face down, you flip it over, Frostbite, you play it, you get to draw a card off of playing it. Same with Electrify, but you get to go again instead of the Frostbite. You draw the card. With Polar Blast, they can either choose to pay the cost or you get Dominate. So if you have an arrow with an on-hit effect that you really want to hit, great. You just enable that. Maybe they pay the resource. Well, that's one card less that they don't have to block with, unless they pay it from Tunic. So use that accordingly. But if you give them a Frostbite, they're going to have to pay for the Tunic resource anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it tricky.
Yeah. So fun things. Polar Blast is probably my favorite card for Lexi. What about you guys? Do you have a favorite ice or lightning card?
Oh, you put me on the spot here, my dude.
I really like Icy Encounter.
Icy Encounter?
Like, even the blue threatens 4. Mm-hmm. And 4 is such a good break point for damage. Because if it hits, it makes a Frostbite. So they're giving you at least 1 card from hand, maybe 2, or at least a card in an equipment that will not be an issue later down the line. I love Icy Encounter.
You know what? I'm going favorite ice card. It's got to be Channel Lake Frigid.
Oh, yeah. Channel Lake Frigid is going to be so detrimental. So everything, once you play it...
It's a very good card.
They have that instance to... we talked about everyone has the channels. They have that instance to respond, to play an instant before the cost goes up, but... everything after that's played costs 1 resource more. It's just like a million little Frostbites that you put out.
It hurts aggro so bad, and it feels so
really
good.
Does. It's such a good card. I hate it so much, but it really is such a good card.
We talked about the effect on Dash with that last turn, or last video, not last turn. So we won't get into that too much. What about Lightning card? Do you guys have a favorite Lightning card? Mine's going to be Lightning Press, just to get surprise damage over the top.
That is solid. Oh, I might actually have to agree with you. I'm thinking, but Lightning Press is just so good.
Lightning Press is really good. I would say maybe Lightning Surge.
That was going to be my second.
Because it's so good. It's really good. I've done so many well plays with it in Limited where it's like, I'm going to reveal a Lightning Surge in Arsenal. When you play it from Arsenal, it naturally gives Go Again, but when you show it, it gives your next attack Go Again. So you don't want to waste it on the Lightning Surge. So typically you're going to play an attack action from hand, then come in with the Lightning Surge from there, and then possibly, if you have the resources floating, load your arrow and shoot again. Mm-hmm. I love Lightning Surge from Arsenal for that play of, I'm going to give an attack Go Again. I'm going to attack with that. Then I'm going to play the Lightning Surge that now has Go Again. And then maybe do something else. I like that line of play.
With Lightning Press, it is really fun too. If you have New Horizons where you're allowed to have the 2 Arsenal slots, having a face-up Lightning Press in your Arsenal while your opponent just stares at it and they realize they have to play around it is really fun.
The only worst thing that I think than that is truly, that's just mind gaming, is when you're like, I'm gonna play this Frazzle, I'm gonna fuse it with a lightning press.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's even just as bad.
And they're like,
They have to decide if they want to play around it or not.
and then you take the card away and they're like, forgot what color it was. Like, was it a yellow lightning press or was it a red lightning press? I don't remember. I'm gonna block thinking you had the yellow and you're like, nah, it's the red. It comes over for 1.
So I've usually they have it depending on well if it's a competitive game and like the calling I don't think I would. I don't know if I would, but usually like for friendly games I would if someone asked I would tell them.
And if I revealed something, then
Yeah.
I consider it public information,
Yeah, it's
competitive or
public
otherwise.
information, but sometimes if I'm playing with friends just for laughs and stuff, and they're like, what did you show me? And be like, it was a lightning press, that's all I can tell you. And they're like, what color was it? I'm like, who knows?
I've done
What
that
a
before
fun.
where I've come with an arrow and I've done Seek and Destroy on it, which is I have
Oh,
an
yeah.
excellent card, which is kind of like Command and Conquer for Rangers. So if it hits the next end of the next turn, they'd have to discard all cards in hand and arsenal, so they can't keep anything. But I've came in with an arrow and then I fused it with the lightning press, and then I just sits there and it's like, well, I don't want that to hit, but I'm not gonna have any cards anyway if I just block the whole thing. But if I block the whole thing, then you're just gonna keep that lightning press back. So it's like, I don't know what I want to do, and I don't know what's going to come next. So it's really fun
It's
to
fun.
do that.
Lightning press is such just a mind game of things. It's also like once you get to late game, and they come in with an arrow, and you're like, do you have it?
You have to decide to play around it every
You
single
haven't-
turn, and it
You haven't
sucks.
shown me anything, but do you have the lightning press? And you've got one card in your hand, you're like, do I?
And it costs 0. You're like, oh, I don't have any floating resources,
Right.
but do you
But it's
have the
just
lightning
for-
press?
And it's not even like it's only for elemental attacks or for lightning attack. It's any attack action. You can use it on anything.
It has to be 1 or less, doesn't it?
It has to be 1 or less cost.
Yeah.
But there's no limitation. Like there are some cards that it's like the next lightning or elemental attack to hit, it'll get a buff. And if you play just like a normal arrow, like a searing shot, that's not going to get it. But the lightning press, you're like, oh, joke's on you, I had the lightning.
So good.
We talked about some good lightning cards, some good ice cards. What are your guys' favorite arrows?
Got to be Endless Arrow.
Endless Arrow.
I think mine's Frost Lock.
So Endless Arrow, we'll start on that since I heard that one first. So Endless Arrow, Ben, tell us what it does.
Let's see. If I recall right, it is a 0 for 4, and whenever it hits, goes to hand.
Yep.
That's it. Yep.
I
thing
have
that lightning
learned my
press-
lesson. I have learned my lesson so many times. You just think, oh, 0 for 4 is not too bad. It goes to hand, whatever. Block the Endless Arrow, because you will see it 5 more times.
I
Yeah.
did,
You
like-
will see, they'll get one endless arrow like turn 1. You'll see it until turn 6. And it's not even they got multiple endless arrows, it's still the same one.
Just block the Endless Arrow. I don't care what your hand is. Block the Endless Arrow.
Yeah, because you're gonna be like, oh, you can't give it go again, that's fine. And it's like they can either Snapdragon it, or maybe they have the blink and they get the action point, and then they're gonna load it and shoot it again. It's like, well, you gave it go again that time, so if it hits, you're definitely gonna get it. And then they block it, and then you lightning press it, and then you bring it back to hand, and then you do it again. It's disgusting. I love that card.
I've
Endless
been
Arrow
punished
is
many times.
so good. For Lexi, it's so good.
So the other at the ProQuest season, I went and had Endless Arrow, and I fired it off. This is maybe I think my first turn or third turn, I can't remember, but it was an Endless Arrow, and I had snaps, and they're like, okay, you're probably gonna give it go again, bring it back to your hand. It's coming in for 4. What's the chance you're gonna have anything? And she has another really good thing that's like Lightning Press, but a little better. It's called Rain Razors. It gives
Disgusting.
all of your arrows +2. And
Yeah.
the other card, because I had flipped up, so you could, so I had 2 arsenal spots, was a Remorseless. And the chain player was like, well, I don't want the Endless Arrow to go back to his hand, but I really don't want to take anything from that Remorseless because it's going to just wreck my turn. So, and that was the thing, like, okay, I'm going to block. He blocked with an equipment and with 3, and I'm like, okay, Rain Razors, take that back. Okay, load this Endless Arrow, give it go again. He's like, haha, I don't want to take that, but I don't want to take that thing. And so he just took that 2 more times, and then he just blocked out the remorseless, and he was like, yeah, that was kind of a bad turn for me. So that felt so good.
Yep. It's even worse when you have like 2 endless arrows in hand, and you attack with the 1 and you give it go again. They're like, I blocked it, you don't get it in hand. You're like, oh man, you're right, got me.
Endless
I'm
arrow.
gonna load an endless arrow, giving it go again. There's like, well, now it's gonna come in again.
And you don't
So
have to keep attacking with it. If you got another arrow, feel free. Use it. I mean, that's a free resource back in your hand, too, if you need it. So there's...
That's true.
True.
Or if it's like you attack with it, you give it go again, it goes back into hand, you can attack with it again. If it hits again, you put it back in your hand, you're like, I'm just gonna arsenal that. Your turn.
Very good recursion.
Yeah, it's such a fun card. You can keep one card for like 4 turns, and you're just like, I don't know whenever I'll get rid of this.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is Frostlock. So, Kayla, do you remember what Frostlock says?
My vaguest memory is cards and activated abilities cost 1 extra this turn. If Frostlock was fused, it gets +1. And if it hits, the hero cannot play or pitch cards with cost 0. They're till the end of their next turn.
Sounds absolutely correct to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Completely wrecks Cheerio Briar.
oh yeah, I mean it wrecks anyone who's like it wrecks Ninja. It wrecks a little bit of Lexi's if they're not having like a good hand. If they have like all zeros and they're like, oh, this is great. I only got to pay for my bow, and then it's like I'm a Frostlock, and they're like, crap, I can't
Any
pay
low
for my
cost
bow.
heroes, it will hurt.
Yeah, but it's really the +1 is really what makes it nice, because if you're playing the Shiver route, you can load it with Shiver, giving it Dominate, fire the arrow, and then fuse it. It's now coming in for 4 Dominate. Most likely that's going to hit, just because that 1 little extra damage is enough. If they're not like giving out any type of equipment, or if they don't have any equipment to block with. And it is 100% matchup dependent. I wouldn't use it against Guardians because the only cost zeros in their decks probably gonna be
I don't even know.
Sigil.
Oh, yeah.
I actually
Sounds about right.
don't sideboard it just because it's a blue, and just
It's
even
a blue,
pitching it.
blue. But I
can pay
would
for it.
never fire it if you know your opponent can 1 block it, or 2 they're not gonna have the cost 0. But it is also damage, and it makes it harder for them to do like defense reactions on the turn when it's played. So it has a lot of qualities to it. I
So
also
would
really
be
like
this Prism.
the art is really nice of just like the frozen sort of giant in the mountain is really nice.
The best part about Frostlock is it completely, if it hits, it completely stops belittle minnowism. Oh, you belittled?
Oh,
You're gonna get
yeah.
that minnowism? What are you gonna do with it? Well, I'm
What are you
gonna
gonna do with that minnowism?
pitch
You
it
can't
to.
pitch
Oh no.
No, you can't play it. Oh no, that sucks.
Yeah.
All right, my turn.
Ugh,
I'm gonna arsenal this minnowism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. I really like that.
it's solid.
It is.
What about you, 86?
My
What's your favorite arrow?
I'll have to look it up so I make sure I read it correctly. My favorite is actually a lightning arrow. It's their specialization. It's lighted up. You can fuse it. If it's fused, it deals 1 damage for each equipment the opponent controls. I run Ice Lexi, so I don't typically get the option to fuse it often. If it deals damage to a hero equal or greater to the number of equipment they control, equipment they control lose and can't gain activated abilities until the end of their turn. Oh, you took the damage from that lighted up? Can't do Nick this turn. Can't deep blue. Can't harden cross trap.
We took light up. No, I guess that crown's useless. Oh well. It sucks.
My other favorite arrow is kind of controversial. Well, both my favorite arrows are controversial, but I would say Remorseless is one that's really good against Cheerio Briar, against Chain. A lot of people that go wide, they're going to take 1 extra damage for each action.
It does surprise me how much Remorseless has fallen out of favor just in people run disruption instead.
Mhm.
That kind of surprises me because remorseless is just so much damage.
But I mean, it's like I've played against remorselesses, and as a Dorinthia player, it's like I'm gonna take the 5, and they're like, okay, and I was like, yeah, let's go to
I've
my
definitely
turn,
taken
and
it.
then I'll take 6 damage myself for all the actions I do, but I probably output about 12 to 15.
It is something
That's
to
fair.
sideboard, like, against warrior. Like, no, I would never play it against warrior. Like, it's definitely
Guardian's
like,
terrible.
if you see a dash, if you see a chain, if you see a briar, all those things is definitely very good for. And those are popular in the meta right now.
Yep.
But I would,
Hot
Oh
take.
man,
yeah.
when Phi comes out, ooh, he's gonna have
Oh,
a field day with Phi.
remorseless.
Oh my gosh.
Phi will kill himself in one turn if he gets hit with
Yeah.
remorseless.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get a Phoenix Flame. I'm gonna play the Phoenix Flame. I'm gonna play Tome of Firebrand. I'm gonna draw 3 cards. I'm gonna play the Tome of Firebrand. I'm gonna draw 30 more cards. I'm gonna do 3 more things. I died.
So good.
Essentially.
Phi's gonna be the Leviah in that
Oh.
matchup. He's just like, I'm gonna kill myself. You don't get to kill me. I'm gonna kill me.
Oh man.
So yeah, remorseless is one of my favorites, and lighted up. I couldn't talk about either one of them. I run remorseless. I don't run lighted up as much, but it's something that definitely is on the teeter of like put it in my deck or not. Medical right now, remorseless is very important for me, but we'll see when uprising hits. But it sounds like it might be.
I would say Uprising. I feel like it will be very usable.
Last thing we'll talk about going with Lexi. What are some good cards that are not arrows, not lightning, not ice, maybe some other things that you might run?
Oh.
Because
Those
they
are perfect.
exist. We talked about Rain Razors, which is going to give all your arrows.
Oh,
+2.
I know exactly what I'm gonna say. It's 3 of a kind.
I got 3 of a kind is a good one.
It's 3 of a kind.
I'm on the fence.
So we'll talk
I'm
about
not.
3 of a kind, and then we'll come back to Kayla's fence. 3 of a kind is draw 3 cards for 1 resource. But the tricky thing is, until end of turn, you can only play cards from Arsenal. So if you're going up against Lexi, and they play Rain Razors, and don't play any arrows or anything, you can guess what that next card's going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun. So they're going to draw 3 cards. Hopefully they draw attacks. They can only fire their bow twice.
You can load it twice.
They can only
can
load
load
it
it.
twice. Sorry.
With its own ability.
With Bullseye's Bracers, you have another load there. There are keywords on Bolton Shot that if it hits, you can reload. Pathing Helix has, when it hits, you may put a card from your hand into your arsenal. And reload doesn't have to be an arrow either. It's just a card into. So there are ways to load the arsenal with cards to do many things.
That is very correct.
You're either taking a lot of damage or you're losing a lot of cards out of hand to stop all this damage.
This also goes back, if we talk with reload, we talked about Bolt and Shot. It has the reload ability. We could also talk about Pathing Helix.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Pathing Helix has.
Well, it's reload
the
without the
keyword.
keyword reload, yeah.
It doesn't say specifically reload. It just says when this hits, you may put a card from your hand into your arsenal.
Which is reload.
So
It's reload without.
those could be the situations where maybe I drew a Channel Lake, or I drew an Icy Encounter, or maybe I drew something else that I want to attack with. I can choose to reload not a bow, but one of those attacks, or I could play that Channel Lake, load it into my arsenal. Doesn't have to be a bow what I put in there, and sometimes you may need to do that if you get reload after you've played through the kind.
I want you, for every single time that you've said bow but meant arrow, I want arrow to pop up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot of editing I'm gonna do.
You've done it a bit, but I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, and I think people who are listening get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I'm completely lost. I don't know what he's saying at all.
That's
He's-
okay.
You're just dual wielding bows. You can't draw the strings because you're holding
I'm
another
actually
bow.
firing a bow at someone with the bow. The bow has knives on it. It's like a bow
Yeah,
spear, like they have in Horizon. She has like bow and then never mind.
I'm
Oh.
on the fence of it because if you don't have those, like if you three of a kind and you draw into a channel like frigid, an icy encounter, and like a lightning press, you don't have a turn.
I think you've just been burned one too many times.
No, I mean that can happen. A lot of
I
Lexi
don't
players
play
will
it.
admit.
I actually like. I only have one three of a kind. I don't play it in my deck, because I know that those instances can happen, and I know that there are the people who it's like, I'm on a three of a kind. I'm gonna get all this stuff to pop off, and it's like that's fine, personally, and it's just my deck build. I can build it how I want. I don't like it.
3 copies.
That's fine. Do it.
Same.
When you draw 3 actions or 3 instances, we'll talk.
So that is one thing that a lot of Lexi players will say. Even the Lexi Discord will say sometimes the deck will just lose to itself. Lexi is not someone who blocks well.
Oh god, no. Her stuff, 1, doesn't block very well. 2, because of lightning presses, because of blinks, because of instances like rain razors, you're not blocking.
So consequently, there are times when you'll just be up high and dry. And I wish I could tell you there was something else to do that. Even Yuki's list, there are times that you'll do that and something terrible will happen. But you just kind of have to play around that as you would with three of a kind. If you have the perfect thing in your hand right now and you it's always good to see like what you're going to draw, but if you can play something right now that's going to be more optimal, I wouldn't hold off until you got three of a kind, especially if you're against Prism. Because if you start your turn with, okay, I'm going to Rain Razors, I'm going to three of a kind, okay, I'm going to play an Arclight Sentinel.
Feels good.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't feel good at all. It feels bad.
This prison player is telling you to run three of a kind so he can ruin your day.
Yeah.
Don't run three of a kind. Don't give him the satisfaction.
Run three of a kind, but
Try
against
three of a
Prism.
kind.
I've
Try
played
it.
Arclight into like
Three of
three
one.
three of a kind turns to date, and it feels so good every single time.
I had one the other day where I went to an
Don't
armory
just
and
look
some,
at
like
it and
every time I
say,
played a
"This
three of a kind, he did Sentinel, and I was like, ah.
Also, like if it costs 0, I would say yeah. But the fact that it costs 1 and you have the limitation, you could draw into a bad hand. That sucks.
The one cost doesn't mean anything because you're going to replace itself at the very least.
You can't play if you draw a bad hand. You can't play anything.
I'm saying you replace the pitch
I
that you
know
put down
that.
for it.
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I just personally, I don't like it. I don't like the
Okay.
card.
I've had turns before where I arsenaled one, and then I drew up into a three of a kind. I was like, okay, play this one from my hand, play this Polar Blast, play this from my arsenal. Okay, here we go. And just go ham. But you know, you can
Draw
also
like
have
just play it with an 8-card hand.
yeah, you can also have really fortunate hands too. So
I don't like it. It's just me. Maybe it's just me. I'll have the Lexi Discord come and attack me. I don't care.
it's fun. It's
I
fun.
can be my own person and say I
100.
don't want it.
No, go for it.
So we talked about three of a kind. What about other supporting actions you might run, Kayla? Anything that pops to your head?
Oh, action cards?
Yeah, or anything that is not an arrow. Not an
There you
arrow,
go.
Not an
That's
element.
not an arrow. Enlightened Strike?
Enlightened Strike. That is something that Lexi can run. You still have to bottom deck
Oh.
something.
You still have to let him deck something, but because of her ability to give it go again naturally, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
choose.
If you're doing
can,
lightning,
like-
that could be really good.
Yeah, if you're like, I'm gonna show this Lightning Surge from Arsenal. This is just an example again, because it's the easiest I can think of. I'm gonna play an Enlightened Strike from hand, choosing draw a card. I'm gonna put it on the bottom. I'm gonna draw a card. That's now coming in for 5 go again. I'm gonna come in with a Lightning Surge. It's coming in for 4 go again. I've got another card in hand because I drew a card.
My feeble eyes brain can't comprehend all that. It's like, whoa, you can now put a lot of damage.
Yep. I
So,
like Enlightened Strike with her. Yeah, you get rid of a
Solid.
card, but if you can give it go again through different means, and you have Snapdragon Scalers, so I mean, even if you didn't do the lightning thing, you still Snapdragon Scalers it. Give it go again.
Solid.
Draw a card. Come in with an arrow. Come in with another arrow. It's fun.
so I'm gonna. My favorite thing to put out is actually going to be an item. It's going to be Amulet of Ice, which is really surprising, but it is something that you can instant. So
It
if
happens.
someone decides that okay, well, I'm going to do, if a Kano's pitching and you fuse that turn, I'm like, okay, well, now you have to pay 2 or discard a card. And it's like, oh, I didn't think about that. Or defense reaction or something else happens. Like Amulet of Ice is something that, and you don't have to do it like if you don't have to do it when you fuse. It's an instant if you fuse that turn. So you can go through, fire off your arrows, and your opponent says, okay, I'll just take all the damage. All right, well, I'm going to destroy these 2 Amulet of Ices. You're going to get rid of at least 2 cards. So,
Yeah.
and that kind of puts a damper in a little bit of what they're going to do. But that is.
Or if it's like, if you had this big attack planned out and you're like, I'm going to strip cards from hand, and they're like, oh, no defense. You're going to be like, I really wanted to strip cards from hand. I'm going to do it anyway.
I know I said no ice card, or I said non-ice card, or just normal action, but then I was thinking about Art of War, and I'm like, it's in my deck, but man, I hate Art of War so much. Like when I play it, like banish something, draw
That one
2.
I'm more. That one I'm more iffy on because you have to get rid of a card to draw the 2.
Yeah, and it's an attack. I'm either getting rid of a red, which is a lot of damage, or a blue, which I need for the pitch, and it feels bad every time I do it. Sometimes it can pay off.
I mean,
It can.
every deck has the possibility of just bottoming out. You're going to just, you have this giant plan played, and you're like, if I draw this one card, it'll be great. And you don't. And that's just the probability of drawing cards.
Yeah, for sure.
Just have fun doing it. Build a deck you like. Play it.
So since
Bottom
I
line.
talked about Amulet of Ice, I'm sorry, I'm going to hijack it. I can't talk. I'm going to hijack this conversation. I know we're still in the land, the greatest show in Wrath.
Wrath.
We're still in that meta, but I'm going to talk about Uprising a little bit because there are some things that Lexi's going to get that I also feel like it's applicable to Oldham as well, actually. And talking about Amulet of Ice, Insidious Chill. I don't know if you guys have looked at that card.
Oh my
I can't
God.
remember what it does.
So
There's so many ice cards that do so many different things that I can't keep them all in track until I have them in my hands.
So it enters the arena with 3 frost counters on it. When it has no frost counters on it, destroy it. So I'm going to put this in, I think, just depending on how it plays out, instead of Amulet of Ice. Whenever you Ice Fuse, remove a frost counter from Insidious Chill. If you do, target hero discards a card unless they pay 2 resources.
Oh, 100%. That's an Amulet of Ice on steroids.
It is,
That's
though.
right.
It's a blue, but it costs 3 to play. But can you imagine, just
Not a
getting
turn.
3 of those out, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well,
I almost
now I'm
think
going to fuse.
that's kind of better than a channel like Frigid, because a channel lake's going to slow someone down, but that one's going to literally strip from their hand.
Yeah.
And if they're running, like if it is in the Uprising meta that's coming out, where both Draconic heroes run a lot of reds, it's either discard 1 card or pitch 2 cards to pay for it.
And it's for Oldham. Just imagine a fused oak and old, and then I have 2 Insidious Chills on the board. And okay, well, you're going to pitch 2. This oak and old has Dominate, but you're going to put 2 on the bottom of your deck anyway.
This is all gross.
Yeah. I
Very
know.
gross.
It's very
Disgusting.
gross. She's also going to get, instead of Blizzard, so a lot of people love Blizzard, so target attack loses go again and can't gain go again unless the controller
Are you
pays.
talking about hypothermia?
Yeah, hypothermia.
That's where I was going. Yeah, I thought he was going with that.
Yeah, hypothermia is so good.
And it's a 0 cost.
Yep.
That's gross.
It is really neat. But we can also talk about Channel the Bleak Expanse, which actually I don't think Lexi will play.
Yeah, it's
No,
it's really exactly what it does, but
It's go again after you play it. Heroes can't draw cards, reveal cards, or search decks from effects. Beginning of
That's
your
gonna hurt her more because she really likes to reveal things for the fusions. I don't see many Lexis playing that.
Yeah.
That is definitely a ice wizard card for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or possibly a future ice player who doesn't do a lot of fusion.
And there are some things I think Lexi's going to have to worry about. So, Erase Face.
Oh,
I love that card.
that's good.
I love the art on it too.
It's
The colors in it are so good.
It hurts so bad. So we are at the point. What was I saying essentially?
So Saturday, well, I guess
Oh yeah,
Friday.
that's right.
Friday begins the pre-release season 2 Uprising. And oh boy, I cannot contain myself. I am so excited.
Gonna be good.
Yeah. So
I also want to talk about Legend Story Studios. My birthday is 4 days after the release of Uprising. And I love you guys so much. I have tweeted at you every single day in the month of June. My birthday is 14 days away. I would really like a cool birthday present from you guys. That would be awesome. Can we get Kayla a birthday present? Because Flesh and Blood's her favorite. And I taught these two goobers how to play Flesh and Blood. I taught you 86. Don't shake your head. I was there. I taught these goobers how to play. I really like your game. I want cool birthday presents.
God, and she's so subtle.
By the way, if anyone wants to find Kayla's Twitter, look for the person who's tweeted to Legend Story Studios every day in the month of June.
Literally every day. I've also, every day's been different. Every day I say something new. That's the fun bit about it.
It's my birthday. Guess what? No.
My birthday is 14 days.
So we're going into this spot where we're celebrating Kayla's birthday, and by doing that, we're getting a new set. So this set has not been to the public yet at the time of this recording. The pre-releases will probably be happening right when this comes out. So we know the cards, we know what's in the set.
Coming out this week.
What is it?
Is this coming out this week?
I mean yes, this video will.
Yeah.
Because we're
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So a few cards in there that have definitely swept me off my feet. We'll just kind of go into this. Erase Face is one. It just hits a hero cards and tokens they own lose all class and talent types until the end of their next turn. So you want to load that arrow? Well, it's not an arrow. Is it?
Yep.
Is it still an arrow?
None of my cards are illusionist cards.
You can't get go again off those. Oh my gosh. That's just rough.
I really like Vipox.
Vipox? I don't think I know that one.
I'm iffy on Vipox. I like it
It's
enough, but
for one. If it hits, it deals 1 damage for each card in the opposing hero's hand. So it's either you lose a card from hand to block the 1, or you take 4.
Yeah, that's actually a really good card. I do remember that now.
I like it a lot in Channel Mount Heroic Briar, which I think is the strongest place for it.
Or anyone who does a belittle Minnowism build up, like a belittle fetching a red Minnowism into a Vipox, that's gross. I'm actually very tempted to put Vipox in Lexi simply because she can give it go again.
Yeah.
True.
Lexi's not going to be good on blocking, so this is going to be relevant. And that all you got is not on the surface.
Not
it's
got
great.
so much more.
Yeah, it's just so block 3, draw a card.
The art is so good. I am going nuts over this set. I have never been as hyped for a Flesh and Blood set as I have this one. I am giddy with the idea of building decks from this set or updating decks I have with cards from this set. I just can't wait. I like it so much. Legend Story Studio. I would love a birthday present.
So a couple honorable mentions that we didn't talk about, and just going in, we kind of derailed a little bit. So sorry, but Lexi does have a new headpiece coming to her as well, but I
You're
don't think
talking
it's
about
worth
the
her.
iPhone,
Yeah,
the
Coronet
Cornet.
Peak. Coronet Peak.
Oh no, that's exclusively an Icelander card.
Well, it's Ice Equipment Head. It doesn't say Wizard.
Oldham.
I know, but I don't think any deck other than
Yeah,
Icelander should run
I
it.
don't think so either, but
yeah,
it's pretty.
and it
Oh, it's
doesn't have
gorgeous.
Go Again. Is the sad thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Can someone give me a Photoshop of just old man Oldham wearing the very beautiful Cornet peak
With the tunic, please.
with the tunic? Oh, that was such a good. Did I share that meme to the? I'm gonna
Yeah,
go share it.
I think
I
you did,
shared it
but
to the Facebook group. I don't know if I did it over
ooh,
Discord.
yeah, that I don't know.
I'm going in right now.
So,
86.
all
I'm
right.
sharing a great photo. You can pop it up into the video as well. So
Uh,
someone take that photo, put Coronet Peak on it. That's how people play Oldham. Are you looking it up? Are you gonna get it?
Actually, I clicked something on accident. Moved you around. Hold on. Oh no, I can't look at it because I have it full screened. It was on a different screen. I'm
No.
sorry. I will look at it in a minute. I'll post it up here so people can see it.
We'll put it in the video so people can see it. I want Coronet Peak on it. What does he wear for hands? Goliath gauntlets?
Hold them.
Yeah.
Crater Fist
Yeah,
usually.
for the block. Especially if
Okay,
he's
put
fatigued.
Crater Fist on her hands. Actually put Ram's head on one of the arms, like as a shield.
I'm not a Photoshop master, so
I know, I'm getting it out there for the internet to do.
okay.
'Cause I'm not either. I don't know how computers work. I can't do that. But make it happen.
All right. You've heard it here, folks. Kayla has issued a challenge. And then after she issues that challenge, she's going to play Eisenhower Weathervane, which is probably it's going to be so
That's
good.
good.
That's a really good card.
That's a good one.
The red.
Yep.
The next time you ice fuse this turn, create 4 frostbite tokens under target hero's control. And
That's gonna get banned so fast.
so it's yeah.
How much does it cost?
1.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's gonna get banned. Because you're
That's
gonna
gross.
play that, you're gonna load a bow with your 2 floating resources, you're gonna fire a blizzard bolt, then you're gonna fuse it. That blizzard bolt's now coming in for 5 dominate with
Well,
5 freaking frostbites.
it's probably
That's
5 go
dumb.
again. We'll add a frostbite.
Oh, that's because
That's
one, you
disgusting.
reveal it. So the play is you reveal it from arsenal. It's a frostbite. You're gonna play it. Then you're gonna load your bow. You're gonna give it +1. You're gonna play Blizzard Bolt. You're gonna fuse it,
You're
giving
gonna
it down.
give your arrow go again. What are you talking about? You're gonna give it +1.
This hand that I have is a perfect 4-card hand.
Okay.
I'm not talking about anything else.
Okay.
You're gonna give it +1 because you're gonna fuse it and give it dominate. Because you're gonna give them 5 frostbites, 86. What more do I want? Nothing.
You know, we do have at this point too. We also have Chill of the Bone, which doesn't see a lot of play. I think in period. So maybe I could be wrong. I think the
I think it's because Chill to the Bone's an on-hit effect, whereas the other one is just when you fuse. And you can fuse a lot easier than you can get a card to hit.
Requires less interaction.
yeah.
Yep.
It's true.
Broken.
There's more things I want to talk about with that, was just why you would play that card. But that'll be saved for a different video when we talk about another Ice Hero.
I was gonna say probably next video, and we just give like our thoughts after pre-release.
Yeah. I don't know if Elsa might be. It's weird because I don't know if Elsa is in Everfest, but she's also coming out in Uprising.
I call her Izzy.
Izzy?
Yeah, that's what I've been calling her because it's kind of like the way you spell her name, the IYS. It's kind of like Izzy if you put just like another IE on the end.
I just said Elsa because of Frozen.
I'm not a dad with kids.
I say you can tell you're a dad.
You can tell that you have children because you're like Elsa from Frozen. I'm like, I don't care about that. I call her Izzy.
All right. So this is Aria.
That's the end of Aria.
This is it. We moved on.
Well, until later down the road when we talk about Everfest, because that's still technically an Aria. But that's it for the main 3 heroes of Aria.
Yeah.
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 Aria. So sad. So glad we knew you. Kayla said something, but I had no idea what it was.
Prism's still best hero.
I don't know.
Problem is, I think, like, Prism, because Star of the Show and Chain are getting Living Legend, Prism is going to just kind of dominate until she's out of the meta.
She was so close to getting living legend.
Oh, she'll Living Legend during Road to Nats. She's not going to be long from this world.
100%. Like, that's because of the just power balance. She will Living Legend before September, I guarantee.
And then we have a balanced game, right? Right, guys?
We'll find something broken.
No, because then Briar comes back and she's like, I'm awake!
Channel Mount Heroic. Force Nature. Snatch. Go again.
Channel Mount Heroic of Vipox. I made a Embodiment of Lightning so it has go again. I play another Vipox. You can't stop both of them.
Erase face. Oh.
Dude, erase face for 9.
That's why I joked to someone about like technically
face.
Technically I borrowed this deck from a friend, so it's not any cards I own in it.
I love that. Where it's like, I know cards you own don't affect. Well, this card's actually my buddy's. It's not in my deck. That's cheating. No, it's not.
No, it is.
That's
Ask
hilarious.
him. He's playing on table 4 right now. Oh, okay.
My cat's trying to tear up the couch.
Well, that is a sign that we need to go because Kayla's cat is going to eat us alive if we take her attention anymore.
I think that is part of the problem, yeah. He doesn't like when I'm home and I'm not giving him constant attention.
Mm-hmm. Any final words about Lexi going once?
She's really fun. Give her a shot.
Yeah.
She actually, she is so much, even in limited play, she's a lot of fun.
She's actually surprised. I really thought I wouldn't like her, but I think I've played her in draft more than any other Aria hero at this point.
So we did, when we did the pre-release, not at our store, but at another location, myself, and at the time he was the part-timer who worked at LGS, loves Rangers, plays all the Rangers. He is now pretty much the token Ranger player. Me and him got paired up against each other, and I had just crap pulls for that pre-release. I was not winning, but I wasn't, I didn't want to. And me and him got paired up against each other, and every turn it was just, we've got poo-poo in the arsenal. There's just major poo-poo here. I can't play my cards. I'm gonna Arsenal pass. And then you get to my turn, it's like, okay, I'm gonna Arsenal pass. I don't have any good cards. It was just back and forth, the two of us just having the most fun of just making jokes with each other. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Good game.
Good game. That's all you got to say. Good game.
It's a good game.
Good game.
It's a game I love, and a game I enjoy, and a game I'd love a birthday present from.
There it is.
There you go.
Follow me on Twitter and help me get that free birthday present.
All right. Join the Discord, all the fun things. Ben, do you want to say anything? Any final words?
I am Ben.
He is Ben. That is
I am
true.
Kayla.
That is true. And my final words will be, I think Lexi is a hard hero to learn for someone who's starting off, but if you stick with Lexi, the hero loyalty is actually rewarded in this game with learning interactions and learning lines and everything else.
For
and
sure.
I think that
Yeah.
Lexi is probably someone that you'll need to put some time into to learn. If you do put that time into her and you learn her and you figure her out, her interactions are very fun.
Yep.
And I think that you will choose to play her over a lot of other heroes in the game. Not because of how her placement is, but because of how fun she is. The other thing I would add on, so, ice is really good at being control. But if you play too much control, you can fatigue yourself out really quick. If you play too much support with the lightning stuff, then you're going to notice that you're running out of arrows really quick. So, you have to have a balance. Be mindful. Everything kind of has to mix together into a perfect form. And there are some good if you play ice and lightning options, but we didn't talk about those because they don't get played. Maybe in the future. Who knows? That's it.
You got really it felt like such a serious moment.
Yeah.
We were
Like,
learning.
this is an Uncle Iroh moment where you're just telling
Uncle
us
Iroh?
about life and
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't watch a lot of TV.
I'm sorry, you don't know who Uncle Iroh is?
I do not.
This is a whole other conversation. This is a video. This is next week's video. Postpone
Next
everything.
video, we gotta talk about this.
All right.
This is the first episode in the side channel of memes and things where we're gonna talk about this. This is a problem.
Well, this has been the 86, and Kayla and Ben, and we're signing off before I get chewed out. So thank you guys. Play Lexi. Have fun.
Have fun, enjoy the game.
Have fun.
Hopefully you head out to an Uprising pre-release and have fun there.
Yeah. And then tell us about your Uprising pre-release.
Yeah.
Because really, I want to know. And if you went to Vegas, tell us about that. Because I'm curious what the meta looks like right now.
Yeah.
And I'm even
Vegas. Tell me how much debt you're in.
I know I'm really excited for Icelander and Jermai. So yeah, there's definitely some heroes I'm kind of figuring out how they're playing right now.
Don't get me started on Jermai.
I was the biggest simp.
I literally was telling the voice the other day that I messaged him and I was like, I have gone beyond fangirl. I am just a simp for Jermai. Just straight up. I want more of her. And I think a lot of it actually comes from, I really enjoyed the Game of Thrones novels. Wholeheartedly loved them. Daenerys Targaryen is my favorite, and I think a lot of it stems from that.
Makes sense.
I haven't seen Game of Thrones either.
Same.
Okay.
I said the novels. I didn't even mention the show.
I haven't read the books either.
Okay, great.
I didn't even know it was a book, actually.
All right. You didn't know they were books?
I knew George R.R. Martin, and the only thing that I have...
You didn't know they were books?
The only thing I have indulged in from him is Elden Ring. And he's not the...
Yeah, because he's writing Elden Ring and not writing Winds of Winter. Come on, George.
I don't think 86 is from this century.
I don't know who 86 is anymore because I think he's not of this planet, at least. Because he's like, who's Uncle Iroh? Game of Thrones was a book? Crazy.
All right. Well, that's it. Have fun. See you later. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Later. See ya.